Today on UinFO News, Part 3 of our continuing coverage of the Congressional Subcommittee hearing on UAPs, the possible intentions of the non-human intelligence piloting these crafts, and threats posed by UAPs to the United States national security. This is UinFO News. The age of disclosure is here. This is UinFO News, keeping you informed. Welcome to UinFO News, your source for all the latest UFO and UAP information. I'm your host, Tony Shara. Thanks for being with us. Let's get started. Wednesday, July 26, 2023, a day of transparency decades in the making. The Congressional House Subcommittee on National Security, the Border, and Foreign Affairs held their first ever public hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena, commonly known as UAPs, or UFOs to the rest of us. The Congressional Oversight Committee heard testimony from three credible witnesses: former decorated Navy pilot Ryan Graves, former commanding officer of the U.S. Navy, Black Aces, David Fravor, and former senior military intelligence officer David Grusch. David Grusch testified that the United States has been operating an undisclosed retrieval program without any congressional oversight of intact and partially intact non-human vehicles of exotic origin. All three witnesses, including Grusch and Navy pilots Graves and Fravor, provided their assessment to Congress of the intentions of the non-human entities behind the UAP encounters. Let's watch as Representative Andy Ogles questions all three witnesses regarding the possible intentions of the non-human intelligence piloting the UAPs operating in U.S. airspace.
Based off of your own experience or the data that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs could be essentially collecting reconnaissance information? Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. Grusch?
Fair assessment, yeah.
Mr. Fravor?
Very possible.
Is it possible that these UAPs would be probing our capabilities? Yes or no, Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Grusch?
Yes,
Fravor?
definitely.
Is it possible that these UAPs are testing for vulnerabilities in our current systems?
Yes.
Yes, possible.
Do you feel, based off of your experience and the information that you've been privy to, that these UAPs provide an existential threat to the national security of the United States? Mr. Graves?
Potentially.
Yes, sir, potentially.
Same answer, potentially. Yeah, I'd say
Fravor.
definitely, potentially.
Mr. Graves and Fravor, in the event that your encounters had become hostile, would you have had the capability to defend yourself, your crew, your aircraft?
Absolutely not.
Sir?
No.
Based off of the information that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs are interested in our nuclear technology and capabilities?
Yes.
By external observation, sure, that could be a fair assessment, yeah. Yes.
After hearing shocking testimony from all three witnesses, Representative Ogles could not help but conclude that the UAPs represented a direct threat to U.S. national security.
There clearly is a threat to the national security of the United States of America.
Next, Representative Burchett asked David Grusch if American personnel had ever been injured while reverse engineering any of the non-human or exotic technology that has been retrieved.
Do you have any personal knowledge of someone who's possibly been injured working on legacy UAP reverse engineering?
Yes.
Okay. How were they injured? Is it something like a radioactive type situation or something we didn't understand? I've heard people talk about Havana syndrome type incidences. What was your recollection of that?
I can't get into specifics, but you could imagine assessing an unknown unknown. There's a lot of potentialities you can't fully prepare for.
It is anticipated that Grusch will supply the committee with more specific answers inside secure locations referred to as SCIFs, or sensitive compartmented information facilities. At the conclusion of the hearing, Representative Raskin asked Lieutenant Graves if he had seen any UAPs up close and if he could describe them in more detail.
The two aircraft flew within about 50 feet of the object, and that was a very close visual sighting.
And you were in one of the aircraft?
I was not. I was there when the pilot landed. He canceled the mission after, and I was there. He was in the ready room with all his gear on, with his mouth open, and I asked him what the problem was, and he said he almost hit one of those darn things.
He said he was 50 feet away from it,
Yes, sir.
and his description of the object was consistent with the description you gave us before.
A dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere.
After 2.5 hours of historical testimony from 3 extraordinary witnesses, Representative Burchett summed up the hearings this way.
We made history today. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
That concludes our coverage of the Congressional Subcommittee hearing on UAPs. On the next episode of UinFO News, we'll report on recently uncovered evidence of a UFO that crashed in Italy during the 1930s, which the U.S. took possession of. We'll also hear about U.S. service member Michael Herrera, who claims to have witnessed a UAP being loaded with weapons by unmarked soldiers in the jungles of Sumatra 14 years ago. I want to thank you for being here as we cover the latest UFO and UAP developments. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified of new episodes. And visit us on the web at uinfonews.com, on Twitter, and follow us on social media. I'm Tony Shara, and this is UinFO News, keeping you informed.